The Hunt for Stonehenge's Alien Exiles. Chapter 1. Arrival. The night air over Salisbury Plain was restless, heavy with a chill that seemed older than the stones themselves. Clouds dragged across the moon, casting shifting shadows over the monument. Tourists had long since gone, leaving only the whisper of wind and the silent weight of history. A ripple of light shimmered between the trilithons. The air bent, folded, and tore open. Palmer stepped through first, tall and muscular, his armor etched with glyphs that pulsed faintly like veins of fire. He scanned the circle with a soldier's precision, every sense tuned to threat. Harlo followed, her form more fluid, her eyes glowing violet as they adjusted to the dim earth night. She carried no weapon in hand, but the hum of her presence was enough to unsettle the silence. "Portal integrity, compromised," she said, her voice clipped, professional. She crouched, running her fingers across the grass. The soil vibrated faintly, as if remembering the passage of countless exiles. Palmer pressed his hand against one of the sarsen stones. The monolith thrummed beneath his touch, resonating with a frequency that was not of this world. "This was meant to be the end of the line," he muttered. "A prison without walls. Now it bleeds energy like a wound." Harlo rose, scanning the horizon. Beyond the plain, faint lights from the town glimmered. Civilization had grown around the exile site, unnoticed by the architects who had condemned criminals here millennia ago. "They were supposed to vanish into silence," she said softly. "Instead, they've multiplied." Palmer's jaw tightened. "Then our hunt begins." The wind picked up, carrying with it the faint echo of human voices from the distance. Harlo tilted her head, listening. "Do you hear it? The resonance of Earth's inhabitants. The criminals are hidden among them now." Palmer's eyes narrowed, his voice low and resolute. "Invisible in the mass of humanity, but not beyond our reach." The stones pulsed again, faintly glowing as if aware of their visitors. Harlo's gaze lingered on them. Stonehenge was never meant to be a monument. It was a lock. And now the lock is breaking. Palmer turned away from the stones, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. "Then we seal it, and we find those who escaped." Together they stepped into the circle, shadows swallowed by the ancient monument. The hunt had begun. Chapter 2. The Broken Portal. The circle of stones pulsed faintly, as if remembering its purpose. A low hum vibrated through the air, subtle enough that a human ear would dismiss it as wind. But Palmer and Harlo felt it in their bones, the resonance of a failing lock. Harlo knelt, her scanner unfolding from her wrist like a living organism. Threads of light swept across the grass, mapping invisible currents. "Residual traces of trans-dimensional transport," she said. "The criminals used the breakdown to escape. The portal is leaking." Palmer's eyes narrowed. "Into humanity. Invisible among humanity." He paced the perimeter, his boots sinking into the damp soil. "This was supposed to be exile without return. Now it's a sieve." The stones loomed above them, scarred by centuries of weather and worship. Tourists had left footprints, candy wrappers, and camera flashes. The sacred exile point had become a roadside attraction. Harlo's voice softened, almost mournful. "We underestimated them. Earth was supposed to be barren. Instead, it thrives. Cities, machines, billions of lives. The criminals had cover we never anticipated." Palmer's reply was cold. "Thriving or not, the sentence remains. We find them. We send them away." The scanner beeped sharply. Harlo frowned. "Energy signatures scattered across the region. Some faint, some strong. They've been moving, adapting. One of them is close." Palmer drew his weapon, a sleek rod that shimmered with contained plasma. "Then we start here." The stones pulsed again, brighter this time, as if aware of their visitors. Harlo's gaze lingered on them. Stonehenge was never meant to be a monument. It was a lock, and now the lock is breaking. Palmer turned away from the stones, his silhouette sharp against the moonlight. Then we seal it, and we find those who escaped. Harlo hesitated, her violet eyes fixed on the horizon. What if they've built lives here, families, identities? What if exile became home? Palmer's jaw tightened. Then they'll lose it. Justice is not undone by time. The wind carried the distant sound of engines from the town. Humanity moved unaware, living ordinary lives while ancient sentences unraveled beneath their feet. Harlo closed her scanner, her voice low. The hunt begins tonight. Together they stepped out of the circle, shadows swallowed by the plain. Behind them, Stonehenge glowed faintly, a wounded lock waiting to be sealed or shattered. Chapter 3. Echoes of the Past. Long before humans carved their first symbols into stone, the architects of exile had chosen Earth. It was a world deemed primitive, isolated, and unworthy of galactic attention. A perfect prison. The portal was forged in secrecy. Massive stones were hauled across continents, guided not by human hands alone, but by alien technology hidden in the guise of ritual. The Sarsens were anchors, stabilizing a dimensional rift. The blue stones, smaller but potent, were tuned to frequencies that bent reality itself. Each exile was cast through the portal, stripped of their weapons, their ships, their names. They emerged on Earth as shadows of their former selves, condemned to isolation. The architects believed humanity would never rise beyond fire and stone. But humanity did rise. Empires formed, languages blossomed, and machines clawed their way into the sky. The exiles adapted, hiding among them. Some became kings, others thieves, still others visionaries who bent human progress toward their own ends. Harlow's voice broke the silence of memory. They were meant to vanish. Instead, they became part of history. Palmer's gaze was fixed on the stones, his mind replaying the tribunal that had sentenced them. Criminals, murderers, betrayers. They were not meant to build empires. They were meant to rot in obscurity. Harlow's eyes glowed faintly as she studied the carvings left by humans over centuries. And yet, look at them. They've woven themselves into the tapestry of this world. Perhaps exile became evolution. Palmer's jaw tightened. Do not romanticize them, Harlo. They are fugitives, and the fugitives must be found. The stones pulsed again, faintly glowing as if remembering the countless bodies that had passed through. Harlo shivered. Stonehenge remembers. It remembers every exile, every scream swallowed by the rift. Palmer turned sharply, his armor catching the moonlight. Then let it remember us too, the hunters who came to finish what was begun. The wind howled across the plain, carrying with it echoes of the past. For a moment, Harlo thought she heard voices, ancient, bitter, defiant, the ghosts of exiles who had refused to vanish. She whispered almost to herself, "What if they don't want to be found?" Palmer's silence was heavy, but his eyes burned with resolve. The hunt was no longer just about justice. It was about restoring the lock, sealing the wound, and proving that exile could not be undone. He stepped through the portal, its directional locator set for London. Harlo followed. Chapter 4. First Clues. London pulsed like a living organism, streets thrumming with traffic, neon signs flickering against the drizzle, voices overlapping in 100 languages. To Palmer and Harlo, it was camouflage incarnate. Millions of humans moving in patterns so chaotic that fugitives could vanish without effort. Harlo's scanner flickered on her wrist, its light hidden beneath the sleeve of her borrowed coat. "Energy anomalies across the city," she murmured. "Power surges, genetic irregularities, unexplained disappearances. They're here." Palmer adjusted the collar of his disguise, a sharp-featured man in a dark suit. His alien armor was hidden beneath layers of human fabric, but his eyes still carried the cold fire of the hunt. "Too many signals," he said. "We need focus." Harlo tapped the scanner, narrowing the field. A name surfaced repeatedly in the data. Brett Allen, billionaire, visionary, a man whose technology empire had risen too fast, too perfectly. She studied his image on a glowing billboard. "He's one of them, a criminal who's built an empire." Palmer's jaw tightened. "Then he's our first target." They moved through the crowd, blending seamlessly. Humans brushed past them, unaware of the predators in their midst. Harlow's gaze lingered on the faces, children laughing, couples arguing, workers rushing home. "They don't know," she whispered. "They live their lives, oblivious to the wars above their heads." Palmer's voice was steel. "That ignorance is their shield, and our burden." The scanner beeped sharply. Allen's headquarters loomed ahead, a tower of glass and steel piercing the night sky. Its lights burned like a beacon, drawing them closer. Harlow's eyes narrowed. "He's hiding in plain sight, using human progress as cover." Palmer's hand brushed the concealed weapon beneath his coat. "Then we strip away the cover." They paused at the base of the tower, gazing upward. The city roared around them, but in that moment, the hunt sharpened. Harlo whispered, "The exiles have built kingdoms here. Do we tear them down?" Palmer's reply was cold, resolute. "We don't ask, we act." The rain began to fall harder, streaking the glass of Allen's empire. Somewhere inside, an exile waited, one who had escaped justice for centuries. Palmer and Harlow stepped forward, shadows swallowed by the city. The hunt had found its first trail. Chapter 5. The Disguise. The rain-slicked streets of London reflected neon and headlights, a kaleidoscope of human life. Palmer and Harlow moved through it like shadows, their alien forms cloaked beneath carefully chosen disguises. Harlow adjusted the scarf around her neck, her violet eyes dimmed to a human shade of hazel. "The disguise holds," she murmured, checking her reflection in a shop window. "We pass as them." Palmer tugged at the lapels of his suit, his angular features softened into the mask of a stern businessman. "It's crude," he said, voice low, "but effective. They see what they expect to see." Harlow's scanner pulsed faintly beneath her sleeve. "Allen's empire is fortified. Cameras, guards, biometric locks. He's built a fortress out of human ambition." Palmer's jaw tightened. "A fortress is only stone. We've broken stronger." They approached the tower, its glass facade gleaming like a blade against the night sky. Inside, Allen's empire thrived. Engineers, executives, machines, humming with innovation. To humans, it was progress. To Palmer and Harlow, it was camouflage for a fugitive. Harlow hesitated at the entrance, watching the flow of workers through revolving doors. "They don't know who he is. To them, he's a visionary. To us, he's an exile who escaped justice." Palmer's voice was steel. "Justice may be blind, but punishment isn't." They stepped inside, blending seamlessly with the crowd. The lobby was vast, polished marble, reflecting the glow of holographic displays. Allen's face appeared on a screen, smiling, charismatic, promising a future of limitless technology. Harlow whispered, "He's rewritten his sentence into a legacy." Palmer's eyes narrowed. "Then we erase it." They moved deeper into the building, their disguises holding, their mission sharpening. Every step brought them closer to Allen, closer to the truth of how far the exiles had burrowed into humanity. Harlow's voice was almost a whisper. "Palmer, what if exile became belonging? What if they're not fugitives anymore, but citizens?" Palmer's reply was cold, unwavering. Then they'll lose what they stole. We are not here to debate. We are here to hunt. The elevator doors slid open, swallowing them into the heart of Alan's empire. Above, the tower hummed with secrets. Somewhere within, an exile waited, one who had built a kingdom out of humanity's blind trust. The hunt had entered the fortress, but the prey had fled before they arrived. Chapter 6: London Shadows. The city's pulse shifted after midnight. Neon lights dimmed, the crowds thinned, and London revealed its darker arteries. Alleys slick with rain, clubs humming with secrets, and tunnels where the hum of electricity drowned out the silence of stone. Palmer and Harlow moved through it like predators cloaked in human skin. Their disguises held, but their senses remained sharp, tuned to frequencies beyond human perception. Harlow's scanner flickered faintly beneath her sleeve. "Alan's signal is stronger here," she whispered. "He's not just a businessman. He's feeding something beneath the city." Palmer's eyes swept the street. A network. Criminals don't survive alone. They adapt, they organize, they form networks. They followed Alan's trail into a private club tucked between shuttered storefronts. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and murmurs. Human patrons laughed, drank, and gambled, oblivious to the predator in their midst. At the far end of the room, Alan sat surrounded by advisors. His presence was magnetic, his smile calculated. He looked human enough, but Palmer saw the subtle tells, the unnatural stillness, the way his eyes flickered when the scanner pulsed. Harlow leaned close. "He's one of them, no doubt." Palmer's jaw tightened. "Then we move." But before they could approach, Alan rose, slipping through a side door guarded by two men. Palmer and Harlow followed, weaving through the crowd, their movements silent and precise. The door led into a stairwell descending into the belly of the city. The hum of machinery grew louder, mingling with voices that carried a strange cadence, alien syllables buried beneath human tongues. Harlow's breath caught. "He's not alone." Palmer's hand brushed the concealed weapon beneath his coat. "The Council of Exiles begins here." They pressed deeper into the tunnels, shadows swallowing them whole. The walls vibrated with hidden power, the air thick with secrets. Alan's voice echoed ahead, speaking in a language older than Earth. Harlow's eyes glowed faintly, her disguise flickering under the strain. "Palmer, this isn't just one fugitive. It's a society." Palmer's reply was cold, resolute. "Then we dismantle it." The stairwell opened into a cavernous chamber lit by stolen technology. Dozens of figures stood in a circle, their human disguises slipping, revealing glimpses of alien forms. Alan raised his hand and the chamber fell silent. Palmer and Harlow froze at the threshold. The hunt had led them into the heart of the Exiles' shadow empire. Chapter 7: The First Encounter. The chamber beneath London hummed with stolen power. Screens flickered against damp stone walls, casting fractured light across the faces of those gathered. The exiles stood in a circle, their human disguises slipping, eyes glowing faintly, skin rippling with alien traces. At the center, Brett Allen raised his hand, his voice carried with unnatural resonance, a cadence that bent the air. "Brothers, sisters, we were cast here to die in silence. Instead, we have thrived. Humanity became our cloak, our shield, our weapon. Tonight, we decide our future." Palmer and Harlow lingered at the threshold, shadows pressed against the wall. Harlow's breath caught as she scanned the room. "Dozens of them," she whispered. "More than we anticipated." Palmer's grip tightened on his weapon. "Then we cut through the heart." Alan's gaze swept the chamber and landed on them. His smile was slow, deliberate. "Ah," he said, voice echoing. The hunters arrive. The exiles turned, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Some faces hardened, others flickered with fear. Palmer stepped forward, his disguise faltering, alien glyphs glowing faintly beneath his skin. Brett Allen, you were sentenced to exile. You broke the lock. Your time here is over. Allen chuckled, the sound sharp as glass. Over. My time has only begun. Look around you, Palmer. Humanity worships me. They build my machines, follow my vision. I am not a fugitive. I am a king. Harlow's voice cut through, steady but edged with doubt. You were condemned for crimes across the stars. That sentence does not vanish because you wear a human mask. Allen's eyes gleamed. And yet, here I stand, while you cling to laws written by architects who feared us. Tell me, hunters, do you truly believe exile can last forever? The chamber stirred, exiles murmuring agreement. Palmer's jaw tightened. We don't debate. We enforce. Allen spread his arms, his human disguise peeling back to reveal a form shimmering with alien energy. Then enforce it. But know this, every exile here has built a life, families, empires. If you tear us away, you tear humanity apart. Harlo faltered, her violet eyes flickering. Palmer, he's not wrong. They've woven themselves into this world. Palmer's voice was steel. Then we unravel them. The chamber erupted in motion. Exiles surged forward, some in defiance, others in fear. Allen's laughter echoed as Palmer raised his weapon, plasma humming. Harlow's scanner flared, locking onto Allen's energy signature. The hunt had found its prey. Chapter 8. The Chase. The chamber erupted in chaos. Allen's laughter echoed against the stone walls as the exiles surged forward, their human disguises peeling away like smoke. Eyes glowed, limbs elongated, voices twisted into alien syllables that rattled the air. Palmer moved first, his weapon snapping to life with a hiss of plasma. A beam of light carved through the chamber, striking the floor at Allen's feet. The fugitive-turned-billionaire didn't flinch. He only smiled wider. Hunters, Allen said, his voice resonant, you are centuries too late. The exiles charged. Palmer spun, his blade of energy slicing through the first attacker, a hulking figure whose skin rippled with metallic scales. The creature roared, collapsing in sparks of alien residue. Harlow's scanner flared, projecting a shield of violet light that deflected a barrage of energy bolts. She ducked, rolled, and fired a pulse that sent two exiles sprawling against the wall. "Palmer!" she shouted. "They're coordinated!" Palmer gritted his teeth. "Then we break their coordination." The chamber became a storm of light and sound. Plasma beams cut through the dark, stone cracked under the force of alien strikes, and the smell of plasma filled the air. Humans above ground would hear nothing. The chamber was sealed, its violence hidden from the world. Harlo leapt onto a platform, her weapon unfolding into a whip of energy. She lashed it across the room, entangling an exile who had sprouted insectoid wings. The creature shrieked, crashing to the floor. Palmer fought with brutal precision. Every strike was calculated, every movement honed by years of training. He drove back 3 attackers at once, his blade humming as it carved arcs of light. But Allen remained untouched, watching from the center like a conductor of chaos. His voice cut through the battle. "You cannot cage us again. We are woven into humanity now. Tear us away, and you tear their future." Harlo faltered, her whip flickering. For a moment, doubt clouded her eyes. "Palmer, what if he's right?" Palmer's reply was a roar as he drove his blade into the chest of another exile. "Justice is not a choice." The chamber shook. Allen raised his hand and the walls themselves seemed to pulse. Hidden machinery activated, releasing drones that swarmed toward Palmer and Harlo. Harlo spun, her whip slicing through the drones, sparks raining down. Palmer blasted a path through the swarm, his weapon glowing white-hot. The exiles regrouped, forming a circle around Alan. Their voices merged into a chant, ancient and defiant. The air thickened, vibrating with power. Harlow's scanner screamed, "Palmer! They're activating something, another portal." Palmer's eyes locked on Alan. "Then we stop it here." He charged, cutting through the circle, his blade blazing. Harlow followed, her whip snapping, her shield flaring. Together they broke the line, driving toward Alan. But Alan was ready. His body shimmered, his human mask dissolving entirely. He towered above them now, a figure of pure alien energy, eyes burning like twin suns. "Hunters," he said, his voice shaking the chamber. "Welcome to extinction." The battle had only begun. Chapter 9. Council of Exiles. The chamber's chaos subsided into order. Alan raised his hand and the exiles obeyed, their voices falling silent. The air was thick with ozone and tension, the walls vibrating faintly with the residue of battle. Palmer and Harlow stood at the edge of the circle, weapons drawn, their disguises flickering under the strain. Around them, dozens of exiles revealed their true forms, skin shimmering with alien hues, eyes burning with unnatural light, voices carrying the cadence of worlds long forgotten. Alan's voice was calm now, commanding. "Hunters, you see us as fugitives, but we are more. We are the Council of Exiles. We were cast here to die, yet we have endured. Humanity became our cloak, our shield, our future." Harlow's gaze swept the chamber. She saw faces etched with centuries of survival, creatures who had hidden in plain sight, who had built families, empires, legacies. Her voice trembled. "You've built a society here." Alan nodded, his smile sharp. "A society stronger than the architects ever imagined. We are woven into humanity's progress. Remove us, and you unravel their destiny." Palmer's jaw tightened, his weapon humming with restrained power. "You are criminals, murderers, betrayers. Your sentence was exile. That sentence remains." The council stirred, voices rising in defiance. One exile stepped forward, her form flickering between human and alien. "We were condemned for resisting tyranny, for refusing to kneel. Is survival a crime?" Harlow faltered, her violet eyes flickering. "Palmer, they're not just fugitives. They're people. They've lived here for centuries." Palmer's reply was cold, unwavering. "Justice does not fade with time." Alan's laughter echoed, sharp and resonant. "Justice? Or vengeance? You cling to laws written by those who feared us. But look around you, hunters. Humanity thrives because of us. Their machines, their empires, their dreams. We shaped them." The chamber vibrated, the council's voices merging into a chant. The air thickened, resonating with power. Harlow's scanner flared, warning of an energy surge. "Palmer," she whispered, "they're activating something. A network, a portal." Palmer's eyes locked on Alan. "Then we stop it here." But Alan's smile widened. "You cannot stop what has already begun. The Council of Exiles is no longer hiding. We are rising." The chamber erupted in light, the stones of the underground walls glowing with alien energy. The council's chant grew louder, shaking the foundations of the city above. Harlow's voice was urgent. "Palmer, if they succeed, they'll tear open the lock completely." Palmer raised his weapon, his eyes burning with resolve. "Then we tear them down." The Council of Exiles had revealed itself. The hunt was no longer for fugitives, it was for an empire hidden within humanity itself. Chapter 10. Harlow's Doubt. The chamber still vibrated with the council's chant, though the energy surge had subsided into a low hum. Palmer stood rigid, weapon glowing faintly, his eyes locked on Alan. Harlo, however, could not tear her gaze from the faces around them, faces that were not just criminals, but survivors. She saw an exile mother clutching a child whose eyes flickered with alien light. She saw elders whose disguises had worn thin, their human masks cracked by centuries of hiding. She saw fear, defiance, and something else, belonging. Harlow's voice trembled. Palmer, look at them. They've built lives here, families. They're not just fugitives anymore. Palmer's jaw tightened, his voice cold. They were sentenced. That sentence does not fade because they bred or built empires. Justice is not undone by time. Harlow stepped closer, lowering her weapon. Justice, or vengeance. We were told they were monsters. But what if exile changed them? What if Earth gave them a chance to become something else? Alan's smile widened, sensing the fracture. Listen to her, Palmer. She sees the truth. We are not the criminals you hunt. We are the foundation of humanity's progress. Tear us away and you tear humanity apart. Palmer's glare was sharp enough to cut stone. You manipulate. You twist truth into survival. But survival does not erase guilt. Harlow's violet eyes flickered, her disguise straining under the weight of her doubt. Palmer, what if we're wrong? What if exile became belonging? The council murmured, voices rising in agreement. Alan's tone was smooth, persuasive. Hunters, you cling to laws written by tyrants, but here, among humans, we have built something greater. We are not fugitives. We are citizens. Palmer's weapon flared, a blade of plasma humming with restrained fury. Citizens built on lies, built on stolen futures. You were condemned for crimes across the stars. That sentence remains. Harlow's hand trembled. She lowered her scanner, her voice breaking. Palmer, I don't know if I can do this. The chamber fell silent, all eyes on her. Alan's smile was triumphant, his voice a whisper that carried like thunder. Then choose, Harlo. Choose justice, or choose truth. Palmer's eyes burned with resolve, but for the first time, Harlow's gaze faltered. The hunt was no longer just about fugitives. It was about morality, belonging, and the fragile line between justice and survival. Chapter 11. Palmer's Resolve. The chamber's glow dimmed, but the tension between the hunters burned brighter than ever. Harlow stood with her weapon lowered, her violet eyes flickering with doubt. Palmer, in contrast, held his plasma blade steady, its hum a reminder of duty. You hesitate, Palmer said, his voice low, dangerous. That hesitation will cost us everything. Harlow's gaze swept the council. She saw faces etched with centuries of survival, families clinging to one another, leaders who had carved empires from shadows. They're not the monsters we were told they were, she whispered. They've lived here, Palmer. They've become part of this world. Palmer's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with cold fire. They were condemned, murderers, betrayers. Their crimes echo across the stars. Exile was mercy, and now they've twisted mercy into power. Alan's smile widened, sensing the fracture. Listen to her, Palmer. She sees truth. You cling to laws written by tyrants, but she sees what exile has created. Life, progress, belonging. Palmer turned sharply, his blade flaring. Silence, Alan. Your words are poison. Harlow stepped closer, her voice trembling but firm. Palmer, what if justice isn't exile anymore? What if justice is letting them stay? Humanity has grown with them. Removing them could destroy everything. Palmer's glare was sharp enough to cut stone. Justice is not rewritten by convenience. We are hunters. We enforce the sentence. Nothing more. Harlow's hand trembled, her scanner flickering. And if I refuse? The chamber fell silent. The council watched, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Alan's laughter echoed softly, a predator savoring the fracture. Palmer's voice was steel. Then you betray the mission. You betray me. Harlow's breath caught. For the first time, the bond between them, partners forged in duty, strained under the weight of doubt. Alan's voice slithered through the silence. Choose, hunters. Palmer raised his blade, his resolve unshaken. Harlow lowered her scanner, her doubt deepening. The fracture between them had become a chasm. The hunt was no longer united. Chapter 12. The Portal Key. The council's chant still echoed in Harlow's mind as she and Palmer fled the chamber, their disguises flickering under the strain of battle. The tunnels spat them out into the night, rain slicking their faces, the roar of London muffled by the weight of what they had seen. Palmer's voice was sharp, unyielding. They are organized. They are rising. We cannot wait. We must reseal the lock. Harlow's breath came fast, her scanner pulsing faintly. Reseal it. Palmer, if we do that, we condemn them all. Every family, every child. You saw them. Palmer's glare was steel. I saw criminals hiding behind masks. Do not let sentiment blind you. Her scanner beeped suddenly, projecting a faint hologram into the rain. Symbols flickered, glyphs older than the exile tribunal, etched into the very stones of Stonehenge. Harlow's eyes widened. Palmer, look, the stones are speaking. They returned to Salisbury Plain under cover of night. The monument loomed, silent and ancient, but Harlow's scanner revealed hidden inscriptions beneath the weathered surface. Glyphs glowed faintly, forming a pattern that spiraled inward. Palmer touched the stone, his armor resonating with the frequency. This is no monument. It's a mechanism. Harlow's voice trembled. A key, the portal key. It was built into the stones themselves. The glyphs pulsed, aligning with the stars above. The solstice was near, and the lock was awakening. Harlow traced the symbols, her fingers trembling. It can reseal the exile gate, or open it completely. Palmer's jaw tightened. Then we reseal. We end this. Harlow's eyes burned with conflict. And if we open it? If we give them freedom instead of exile? The stones hummed louder, the glyphs glowing brighter. The choice was clear. Reseal the lock and condemn the exiles, or open it and unleash them into the galaxy once more. Palmer's voice was cold, resolute. We are hunters. We enforce the sentence. Nothing more. Harlow's whisper was almost lost to the wind. But what if justice has changed? The portal key pulsed between them, ancient and alive, waiting for a decision that would shape the fate of both humanity and the exiles. Chapter 13. The Awakening. The solstice night draped Salisbury Plain in silver light. Clouds parted, revealing a sky alive with stars. Stonehenge stood silent, but beneath its weathered surface, the glyphs carved by alien architects began to stir. Harlow's scanner pulsed, projecting faint holograms across the stones. It's happening, she whispered. The lock is awakening. Palmer stood rigid, his plasma blade humming faintly. Then we reseal it. Tonight, exile ends. But the stones had other plans. The glyphs flared, humming like engines, drawing power from the heavens. The ground trembled, and a rift shimmered into existence at the monument's center. From the shadows, Alan and the council emerged, dozens of exiles, their disguises peeling away, voices merging into a chant that shook the plain. Alan's smile gleamed in the starlight. "Hunters," he said, "you are too late. The gate opens, and we rise." Harlow's breath caught. Palmer, if it opens fully, Earth will fracture. Palmer's jaw tightened. Then we stop them. An exile named Saris stepped forward, her form flickering between human and alien. I can help, she said softly. I don't want war. I want peace. Harlow's violet eyes flickered with hope. Palmer, she's different. We should trust her. Palmer's glare was sharp. Trust is weakness. But Harlow listened. Saris guided them to the glyphs, showing how the key could be aligned. For a moment, hope flickered, until Saris betrayed them. With a swift motion, she tore a fragment of the key from Harlow's hand and hurled it to Alan. The portal roared open, a storm of light and sound. Hundreds of exiles surged forward, vanishing into the rift. Alan's laughter echoed across the plain. We are free. The galaxy will remember us. Palmer fought desperately, his blade carving arcs of plasma against the tide. Harlow's shield flared, deflecting blasts of energy, but her heart faltered. She saw families rushing into the portal, children clinging to parents, elders stumbling toward freedom. Palmer, she cried, they're not all criminals. Some just want to live. Palmer's voice was steel. Exile is not undone by sentiment. The portal destabilized, its edges tearing at the earth. Stones cracked, the monument trembling as if it might collapse. Humanity above saw strange lights in the sky, felt tremors ripple through the land. In the chaos, Harlo was seized by the Council, dragged toward Alan. Her scanner fell to the ground, its light flickering out. Palmer turned, his blade blazing, but Alan's voice cut through the storm. Choose, Hunter. Seal the lock and condemn us, or let us rise and watch your laws crumble. The rift widened, swallowing more exiles. Palmer stood alone, his partner captured, his mission fractured, and the fate of two civilizations balanced on the edge of a blade. Chapter 14. Harlo captured. The plane shook as the portal roared, its edges tearing at the earth. Stonehenge glowed like a wound in the night, the glyphs burning with alien fire. Exiles surged toward freedom, vanishing into the rift. Palmer fought at the center, his blade carving arcs of plasma against the tide. Every strike was precise, every movement honed by years of duty. Yet for every exile he drove back, 3 more slipped past, swallowed by the storm. Harlo darted through the chaos, her shield flaring as she deflected blasts of energy. Her voice rang out above the roar. Palmer, we can't stop them all. Palmer's reply was steel. Then we stop Alan. Cut off the head, and the body dies. But Alan was already moving, his form shimmering with alien energy, his laughter echoing across the plain. Hunters, he called, you cannot cage us again. Tonight, exile ends. Harlo lunged toward him, her whip of light snapping across the air. For a moment, Alan faltered, but then the Council surged forward. Hands seized her, pulling her back, dragging her toward the portal. Palmer, she cried, her voice breaking. Palmer turned, his blade blazing, but the Council closed ranks around her. Alan's smile was triumphant. Your partner is ours. Your mission is broken. Choose, Hunter. Seal the lock and lose her, or let us rise and watch your laws crumble. Harlo struggled, her violet eyes burning with defiance. The portal roared louder, its edges destabilizing, threatening to consume Stonehenge itself. Palmer stood alone, his partner captured, his mission fractured, and the fate of 2 civilizations balanced on the edge of a blade. For the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. Duty demanded he reseal the lock. Compassion demanded he save Harlo, and Alan's laughter promised that either choice would cost him everything. Chapter 15. Palmer Alone. The storm of the portal roared across Salisbury Plain, its edges tearing at the earth, its light burning against the night sky. Humanity above saw only strange auroras and tremors, unaware of the war beneath their feet. Palmer stood alone at the edge of Stonehenge, his blade blazing, his armor cracked from the battle. Harlow's cries echoed from within the council's grasp, her violet eyes locked on him even as she was dragged toward Alan. "Palmer!" she shouted, her voice breaking. "Don't let them win." But Alan's laughter drowned her out. "Hunter, your mission is broken. Seal the lock and lose her, or let us rise and watch your laws crumble." Palmer's grip tightened on his weapon. Duty demanded he reseal the lock, compassion demanded he save Harlo, and the storm demanded a choice. He fought through the tide, plasma arcs cutting down exiles who surged toward freedom. Yet, for everyone he struck, more vanished into the rift. His breath came ragged, his resolve fraying. Harlow's voice pierced the chaos again, softer now, almost pleading. "Palmer, justice without mercy is tyranny. Don't let exile become cruelty." Her words struck deeper than any blade. For the first time, Palmer faltered. He saw not fugitives, but families, children clinging to parents, elders stumbling toward freedom. He saw survival, not defiance. His blade dimmed, his eyes burned with conflict, and then, with a roar, he turned toward the portal key. The glyphs flared as he struck, altering their frequency. The portal shuddered, its edges stabilizing, its storm narrowing into a controlled beam. Alan's triumphant smile faltered as the rift shifted. Not to Earth, not to the stars, but to a new world. A world prepared for exile, a world not barren, but alive. The council screamed, dragged into the rift. Alan's voice echoed in fury as he vanished. Harlo was freed, stumbling into Palmer's arms as the portal sealed behind them. Stonehenge fell silent once more, its glyphs fading into ancient stone. Humanity above saw only the stars returning to their quiet watch. Palmer lowered his blade, his voice heavy. Justice must evolve. Exile was meant to erase. Tonight, it became renewal. Harlow's eyes glistened. "You chose mercy." Palmer's silence was answer enough. Epilogue. Renewal. The world moved on, unaware of the war fought beneath its skies. Stonehenge remained a monument of mystery, tourists wandering its circle, never knowing the power it once held. Palmer and Harlow stood apart from humanity, guardians of a secret. Their mission had changed. No longer hunters bound by law, they had become something else, keepers of balance, defenders of mercy. The exiles lived now on a distant world, free from hiding, free from corruption, yet still apart from humanity. Their crimes were not erased, but their chance at survival was restored. Harlow's voice was soft as they watched the sunrise over Salisbury Plain. "We gave them a future, and we gave ourselves one, too." Palmer's gaze lingered on the stones, his jaw tight but his eyes softer than before. "Justice without mercy is tyranny. Tonight, we chose both." The wind carried their words across the plain, lost among the stones. Humanity would never know, but the galaxy would remember. And the hunters walked away, partners again, not enforcers of exile, but guardians of rebirth. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.